Okay, thank you to everyone that has come in on YouTube or LinkedIn. It's good to have you this morning. As you well know, this is innovative. It's the beginning of a new era in hospitality, in the hospitality space across Africa, and definitely across most parts of the earth. I just want to thank everybody that is coming in, all our colleagues in the industry, and those that are just interested in knowing how AI is going to be very relevant to our industry. The potential applications of AI are quite endless, like we all know, and it can be used to accurately do a lot of things in the hospitality space. So I'm not going to take much time. We've taken enough time. I'm just going to have our facilitators go ahead into the session. Um, I have with me the primary promoter of Gravitas AI, Aarsh Srivastava. Is the co-founder of Gravitas AI, and he'll be taking the first session. I also have with me Timothy Ojo. Most of us know him. He's the innovator of primary indigenous software point of sales, Valino systems, and Biodoc solutions. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm just going to excuse myself and have Aarsh come into the session. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Adedayo. Thanks a lot for that beautiful introduction, and welcome, Mr. Timothy, as well to
Okay.
this session. So we are looking at this particular session with a lot of insights, which we trying to pour into this from both ends, from a technology standpoint and also from the standpoint of use cases. So, or maybe some interesting things which can be done in the hospitality sector. So we'll try to come up from that angle, and I can start the presentation initially. So I'll be talking a bit about Tina, what we have developed and done with Tina, and how it can be utilized from a technology standpoint. So once we have the slides on this screen, I can start my session. So yeah, thanks a lot, the backend team, for bringing this up. So this is about introduction to Tina, which is the next generation AI assistant for customer delight and staff productivity, which is a term which is applicable to all the sectors. But here we are trying to also understand how it is more specific to the hospitality sector. We'll be delving a bit deeper into that, but only after we talk a bit about the technology through which we have trained Tina on. So with this, I'd like to give you a bit of introduction of Gravitas AI. So Gravitas AI is a London-based company, and we are into artificial intelligence. We do conversational AI systems powered through our own algorithms and LLM models, including algorithms which we have developed in-house and some things which we are taking from outside as well, because ultimately we need to provide the right kind of user experience and the right kind of experience and automation plus insights in these systems which we are developing. So we are a niche AI startup, and we have got presence in multiple countries. We operate across UK. We've got clientele in US. We've got a clientele in India as well, and we have a vision to transform the customer support and employee productivity through artificial intelligence. And for that, we are trying to utilize the different tools and techniques available and marry that up with all the stakeholder driven user journeys, so that we can get to the best of the both worlds to solve the real world challenges. Having said that, we also have got capabilities to integrate with existing software systems, because there are a lot of legacy software systems which the organizations utilize, and also at the same time there are like a lot mature systems like Mr. Timothy has in terms of the management systems. So we can integrate with those kind of systems as well to embrace the power of conversation and AI and so we also excel a bit in the research and development area, wherein we are investigating a lot of new aspects and researching a bit with different kind of technologies, including images, structured content, unstructured content, playing around with sentiments, sentiment analysis, etc., to see where we can utilize in the platform-driven journey which we're trying to build for different sectors. So, with this, if we can move to the next slide. So, our mission is to empower organizations with intelligent systems, and we have got two eyes, the basically two things we're trying to focus on. One is the employee productivity, and second is customer delight. So we're trying to focus on both ends so that the organizations can leverage this information provision and process automation analytics insights powered platform to build something which is good and utilize something which is more robust, scalable, secure, and at the same time a lot conversational for the ease of use. Our values are collaborate, empower, and support. So we want to collaborate with our end users and end clients to create systems which are actually meaningful for them. So we don't want just to provide technologies or software solutions, but also we need to like marry up with the right kind of use case and empower these kind of solutions. Basically, through these solutions, we want to empower the end clients with the capabilities which we have developed and also support them at the same time. So we just not leave where we are done with our system development, etc., but also at the same time, continuous training, monitoring, support, and maintenance is provided so that we can provide the right kind of assistance throughout the journey of the organizations which are synchronized with us. So we're four co-founders. So me, I'm one of the co-founders. I'm into AI space for the last decade or so, and I've got about 16 years of experience in the software industry. I have also got a leg in the education sector, wherein I'm also mentoring students. I'm also industry advisor to top-notch universities like Manipal, wherein I provide my expertise which I've earned, whatever I've earned, so that I try to provide for the improvement and betterment of courses which they are providing. So apart from that, we've got Ankita Sinha as the next co-founder. She is global solutions architect. Mukesh Sinha has got about 25 years of experience in the sector, healthcare sector. Has been top notch in his game. Sumit Kumar, who is a, legal and compliance expert, a PMO expert as well. Yeah, so we've got global presence. We've got clientele across in UK, US, and India, and a bit in South Asia Pacific as well. So with this, I'd like to get to Tina, this smart conversational AI platform which we have built up, and it's a second version of it. Initially, we started developing first with one version one, which was about chatbot assistance. And now we've got to the next level, which is about Tina 2.0, which is more about not only chatbots, but also an AI powered smart customer assistance platform. So, this platform is a connected ecosystem wherein we are trying to engage users from different digital touch points where they're trying to engage with the business and then resolve their pain points, resolve their queries, resolve the needs of information provision, and also do a lot of automation which can seamlessly provide that kind of assistance which they look forward to while trying to reach out to the customer support or maybe reach out to the management, etc. So that is our vision with on the side of the customer. And then we've got specific use cases which are there for the internal optimization of productivity of employees as well. This whole ecosystem is powered through generative AI-enabled conversations, so which makes Tina a tireless AI teammate. And when I say tireless AI teammate, she's able to work 24/7 across multiple channels in multiple languages and provide assistance with consistent, accurate, and uh, the information which the user wants. So with this, I'll take you to the next level of capabilities, a bit in detail about the capabilities of Tina. So when I talk about omni-channel AI conversations, so Tina is a multi-channel AI assistant. It's not just limited to a single channel, but she can operate on multiple channels, which includes websites. It can be a WhatsApp assistant. It can be a Facebook Messenger assistant, Telegram assistant. Tina can also be converted to an email assistant. So when I say email assistant, she can respond back to emails, respond back to email chains, trained on that level. Then Tina can also be trained on being a telephone assistant, so picking up the telephone, giving the IVR style of queries or maybe NLP style of queries. Information provision can be provided from Tina through the telephones as well. And on the internal side, she can be integrated with a lot of office tools, which include Slack, Teams, etc., so that we can also leverage the power of Tina's conversational capabilities when employees are engaging between themselves inside the organization. So there's a probability of like when holistically implemented, about 70 to 80% improvement with AI conversations can happen. So then the next capability which I like to highlight is about the generative AI assistance. So basically, Tina can handle unstructured content, semi-structured content, and structured content as well. So she can understand this type of content and provide information back in terms of whatever queries being asked by the users. So that can be handled by Tina, and she can very well provide the right kind of information. Also, sometimes curate the information and get back to the users. So when I say curation of information, I'm talking more about the unstructured content. For example, if I'm what are like loads of information in the PDF documents, and I want to understand a summary of it, or maybe I just understand some clause of a like big document. So I can drop in a document to Tina, and she can self-train herself, and then we can query Tina to understand or ask maybe a particular question, a specific question, and get the response back on from Tina. So with this, what we're trying to achieve is that the time and effort which is spent in getting through the document for compliance, or maybe like big documents which has standard operating procedures, or maybe certain like a big chunk of documentations which are historical documentations. So those are, can be like easily trained to Tina, and Tina can then start responding back on it. So she's also like trained to respond back to structured content and semi-structured content, and all these insights can be also be pulled into structured formats. She is also equipped to generate content in text, image, and video formats. So we can like try out Tina to build up some content for us, and we can utilize in various aspects. Whether it is marketing area, or it can be utilized in some certain internal operations where the requirement of writing of something is there, or maybe requirement of exploring something is there. So those kind of use cases can be explored through generative AI. The next important information which I wanted to share is about platform automation. So this is the second leg of the four pillars which we talk of Gravitas AI. So if I talk about the first pillar, which is about conversational AI and AI assistance, which I was talking about right now in the last two slides, this is more about the second leg, which is automating the platforms, automating through the platforms the processes, automating the process of the stakeholders, automating the user journey, and managing the user journey well. Because we can use artificial intelligence, we have to use artificial intelligence for the larger benefit of the society, for solving out our problems, but it has to be injected into the right spaces, and that is where the process automation is also very important. So we have got process driven journeys wherein Tina can generate leads, she can segment leads, then she's able to like process the data and create some target segments, and then campaigns can be run through a Tina's platform. That is one of the use cases about platform automation. Similarly, there are other processes. For example, in healthcare industry, we need a lot of appointments. In travel industry, we need a lot of appointments, or like a lot of bookings. So those all can also be automated to Tina. So Tina can be your book the date, or book the room, or book something else assistant, where she can seamlessly be integrated with calendars on the front end and also in the back end. So basically, when I talk about front end and back end, I'm talking about like when a user comes to Tina. So Tina can be asked to book the details for the particular user, and Tina can ask a certain level of questions to the user, and after that provide the available slots. Those slots can be then engaged by the user, and once it is confirmed and payments are done, then those slots are booked. And in the backend, in the hospital systems, we can engage Tina's bookings into the calendars or the software systems which are existing. So we can integrate that straight away, so that that particular slot is booked, and we know that slot is totally occupied. Now, how this is more platform agnostic is that we have tried to integrate it seamlessly. So we have done the platform automation, but when someone arrives at the website, they will book through the website. But what if someone goes to a WhatsApp channel? Or what if someone goes to an email channel? What if someone goes through a Telegram channel to the same business entity? So we've got all of this synced up together, so that if I am booking through a web-based platform for Tina, and Mr. Timothy maybe try a WhatsApp assistant, so even then the slots are synced up so that there's no duplication. So we've got automation to that level. So she can optimize the processes. There are various other instances. I'll not go a lot of detail about this, but there are various other areas where Tina can still automate the processes, and we have done the automations. We are ready with the automations to be utilized. The next important capability of Tina I like to highlight is about sentiment analysis. So she can understand sentiments of the conversations. It's very important for conversational bots to understand that. So Tina is just not a button-driven bot. She is able to understand, contextualize, and then tailor the conversations on the basis of the conversations which are happening, on the context of the conversation. Also, sometimes duration of the conversation, the type of queries which are being ingested by the user, that also is being taken care of. So for complex implementation of Tina, we use these kind of techniques wherein we can rate users to understand their level of interaction, engagement, and happiness quotient when they're interacting with Tina. And similarly, at the back end, then these insights can be drawn from Tina's conversation logs, so that we can provide those insights to the business stakeholders so that they know, obviously, all data storage is compliant and we have to abide by the rules and regulations. And with all the permissions, we are storing the data. We can store the data, and that data insights can be provided to business users so that they understand that this set of people were happy, this set of people were okay, and this set of people were not happy. And in that, if people are not happy or like okay-ish, who are those people, and how what type of problems do they face. So we'll try to understand those conversations and come back with some sort of analysis of that, so that we can also suggest, okay, this might be a possible reason of like disengagement, and then those people can be reached out by the team so that they can make so that they can make the barrier, and like the word of mouth publicity goes from there. So that's about sentiment analysis. So Tina can also do payment integrations. So she's seamlessly connected with multiple payment gateways, and we are talking like across the world. We do integrations with the likes of Stripe, but also the WorldPays. And like in India, we're doing like multiple integrations with Paytm, etc., and C7U, all of that. So we've got payment integration gateways integrated with Tina, and all the information provision transactions can be handled by Tina in the chatbot itself, and thereafter reminders, notifications, and confirmations can be sent across by Tina itself. So that's about payment integrations. The next technique which I like to highlight is about optical character recognition. So Tina has also been powered with this technology wherein she can read through the documents. So if I'm trying to scan a document, uh, then it's easy to handle one or two documents. But when the documents are in like volume, so there's a thousand documents to read through and then analyze and take the information out of it. It's a lot of manual effort. So Tina can scan those documents, read the data out of it, and place it in the right folders, place it in the right Excel sheets, place it in the right SharePoint or Google Sheets, etc., so that it can be analyzed, it can be processed, and whatever next level of operations can, need to be done. Maybe if that needs to be pushed in a database, we can do that as well. So then it becomes very easy for users to manage their data, because when these kind of unstructured documents or paper documents uh, are processed, then it becomes very easy for the users to manage this. The next important area which I like to highlight is multilingual conversation. So it's very important for Tina to cater to all type of diverse audience. So a single bot can which can be treated as a single employee of an organization. That organization can and should handle two different types of queries without any user dissatisfaction. So it's very important to understand the context which I've explained, the conversation information queries, process automation which I explained, but also there will be different people who will be speaking different languages. And these days, with very efficient keyboards, we are easily able to switch languages and they use our preferred languages on the digital platforms which we use for conversations. So why not Tina? Tina should be multilingual as well. So that's why we've got Tina as a multilingual agent. She can respond back in the languages which she has been trained in. For example, if Tina is deployed in particular geography where certain languages spoken, so we can train Tina on that. And those 4 5 languages, 10 languages, whatever those are most widely spoken in that particular area, Tina can start responding into those languages. We're also coming with hybrid language structures, but I'll not talk a bit about that at the moment. We've experimented with language hybrid, which is between Hindi and English. So there's a mixture of Hindi English, which is conveniently called English in India, and we experimented with that. We've got good success with that kind of conversations as well. So we are very much interested and committed to invest more in the language technology so that we can leverage the best out of it to provide the right kind of seamless experience. The next important technique which Tina is equipped with is image recognition. So she can recognize your documents. She can get the data out of that. She can validate users with those documents, because once we have got photo ID cards and ingested into Tina, she can recognize the faces and also validate the information. And there can be certain validation mechanisms which can be built up, for example, like phone numbers, etc., and OTP based generations, OTP based systems, to which we can further validate that particular person. So basically, what I'm trying to say that Tina can understand and scan through documents, get the images, sort it out. Once the user comes back, she'll be able to recognize through that. We also getting to we also like putting into implementation facial recognition techniques as well into Tina. And recently, we have launched a skin tone detection chatbot, wherein she's able to understand and reflect back. We're also able to reflect back on different type of structures. So for example, if you try to understand with this part is nose or this part was ear, or like the size, etc., which can also help in healthcare. Those are actually healthcare related solutions which you're trying to implement. So that is something which is going on, and she can understand all of that. Plus also she can annotate those images. So once an image is passed to Rena, she can annotate those images, and further processing can be done on multiple images together, so that some common themes, categorization or classification of the images is achieved. So there can be different use cases regarding this which can be explored, and how we want to classify these images, that is up to us. But she's got this capability of doing this as well. The last but not the least, so data science, as I explained about 4 pillars through which Tina is being structured. So one was the conversational AI capabilities, second was platform automation, the third was data analytics, which is coming out of from two areas. One is the chatbot conversations, which are actually the real user research. So when someone is trying to interact with Tina, it's actual user who's trying to get a problem resolved. So organizations spend a lot in doing market research activities, focus group discussions, surveys, etc., to understand more about the users. But what is happening to Tina is that the user is coming to you and giving their problems to Tina. Uh, it, it also happens in the same way when people talk to customer care support agents and write emails, but that data is very difficult to capture and the insights get lost. But here, what can happen? Tina is able to interact with thousands, lakhs of people at the same time, and get all the information in the backend, which can be analyzed to further understand the real pain points of the users. And once we have once an organization implements Tina and they are through for a year or so, we with their permission we can work on data to also categorize, analyze, and predict for the next year or season. Use the seasonality components to understand the user behavior. So that is also a possibility. And so classification and predictive techniques can also be implemented and be utilized in TINA. And that is the fourth pillar which TINA will be positioned on. So we've got these four pillars strengthening TINA as a platform, and that is how we're progressing. So just a quick snapshot of some of the softwares which we integrate with, and this list is not exhaustive. We just highlighted a few over here, but we have got a very open modules, and we can integrate easily with any of the solutions which are cloud based or API driven, etc. So that is what we wanted to highlight. We are totally up and ready for integrating with other softwares, because the main aim of implementing Tina as a holistic solution is to provide the right kind of assistance, and that will only happen when we are synergizing well with the ecosystem or the tech ecosystem which already exists within the organization. So we are making Tina very friendly in that regard. So yeah, just a few snapshots of some of the conferences which you have attended and some of the awards which you have won. And that's it from me. So thanks a lot, everyone, for hearing me out. And if you are ready to shape the future with AI, you can ask your questions now.
Thank you so much, Aarsh. Quite elaborate. However, we will definitely expand on this in the nearest future. We plan to have these webinars at least once or twice every month going forward. Um, uh, I will crave the indulgence of the audience. If you have any questions, you can pop it up on your YouTube chat box or via LinkedIn. At this stage, I'm going to quickly introduce Timothy Ojo. He has a background in technology with over 15 years in the retail and hospitality technology industry. I've known him all these years. His journey began in definitely in Nigeria, right from when he came out of university. Um, and early enough, he got fascinated with electrical and electronics component, which sparked a lifelong interest in electrical, electronics, and computing. His passion is in technology and entrepreneurship, with a flair for transforming challenges into opportunities. Uh, he has a mission to provide software solutions to continually improve the survival and growth rate of small and medium businesses, or uh, various interests. He likes to travel. Presently, I know he's in Toronto, seeing new places, and he's the CEO of Valino and Inventory. Many of us are conversant with the software Biodoc Solutions, which, if I recollect, has been on the shelf since 2003. So I'll just welcome him to take on his presentation, and we'll get more information regarding AI. Thank you, Mr. Timothy.
Thank you
Please
very
take the
much.
floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Timothy Ojo, as has been introduced, and this AI is one of the hottest topics right now. Not just as a topic, also is actually a subject that is revolutionary and also disrupting a lot of industries. There are two questions people usually ask me about AI. One of it is they've heard a lot about AI, but what really is AI? The second question is, would AI render me redundant? Would AI take my job? Can I still adapt to this AI world? And I'll take those questions one after the other. Ash has been very elaborate. He's talked about Tina. He's talked about Gravitas AI and what they can do. So what I'm just going to do is to give you a little bit background on what AI is and also how AI actually affects the hospitality industry, or how some businesses, have been leveraging AI in the hospitality industry. So we're going to talk about this in three phases. First is the introduction, where we get to learn about AI generally, like an overview of AI. The second is how AI has been helping some hotel industries, or some hotels improve their revenue, and also how it has been helping some businesses streamline their operations. One of those tools that help businesses streamline their operations and also improve their revenue is actually Tina, which is what you've heard of. So this is just taking you through the technology behind operations like Tina, and also products like Gravitas AI has in stock. So introduction of AI. From the word AI, which is simply artificial intelligence, it's made up of two words, artificial and intelligence. Intelligence is actually a word that's actually common with human beings. Of course, definitely we have some mammals and some other animals with a little bit of intelligence. But definitely we all agree that the most intelligent animal or mammal in the world is actually the human being. And that's why intelligence is synonymous to the human being. But then, before the intelligence, you now see artificial. Why artificial intelligence? So what that is telling you is that artificial simply means something that is not original, something that is man-made, or something that mimics another thing. So basically, I will define artificial intelligence as an intelligence that, as a technology that mimics human intelligence. That's the basic definition of artificial intelligence. Now, computing has a lot of advantages in terms of processing power, ability to handle repetitive tasks, and computing has been doing that for a long while. And one of the areas where the computer has been lacking is in the area of intelligence. Most people will tell you that computer is garbage in, garbage out, which means what you input into the computer is what you get. The difference is it can do it multiple times within a very short period of time. For example, a task that can take a human being to complete in 24 hours can be completed by the computer in just 24 seconds or less. All those are the advantages of computing. But when you now bring intelligence into computing, then that actually takes the whole technology to a different level entirely, which is what we are experiencing today. Now, I'll tell you that I can categorically tell that today we're in the middle of a revolution. The same way the computing revolutionized the business world, the sports world, and every other industry, AI is doing the same today. And one of the things you can't afford to do is to be left behind. And that takes me to the second question. Would AI replace me? And I'll tell you that the answer to that is it depends. It depends on you. I'll give you a brief history about how some technology in the past have actually changed some businesses. I'll go first with horses. Horses is one of the earliest means of transportation available to human beings. But at some point, somebody smart somewhere in the world, especially usually in old England and from China and other people, actually decide to attach a horse to a carriage, and that at that point disrupt the transportation business, because normally you own a horse and you ride your horse. But with the horse and the carriage system, it means for you to transport yourself from one point to another, you don't need to own a horse. All you have to do is to pay a carriage man, and he can transport you from one point to another. Now, if you look at that, most people will think, oh, those that breed horses will lose their jobs. They will lose their means of livelihood. But that's not what happened. What happened is people began to move a lot from places to places, and more horses were needed, such that at some point, horses could not keep up with the movement of people across states lines, across cities, and across countries. And that's what gave birth to the revolution of things like the car. But then when the car came along also, the carriage people also think, wow, we're going to lose our means of livelihood. We're going to be replaced by cars. But that's not what happened. What happened is Vehicles simply simplify ways people transport themselves from one place to another, and also remove the problem associated with horses. Horses needs to eat. Horses needs to rest. Vehicles, on the other hand, don't need to eat, though they use fuel. They also don't need to rest. They don't fall sick, though sometimes you get to repair them, but essentially they are more durable. And what happened? A lot more vehicles were needed, millions more were needed compared to carriages. The same can be extrapolated for things like the train system, the aeroplane, and the ship, for example, that takes people across the ocean. You know, at some point, these technologies were disruptive, they were innovational, but at no point have they stopped any business from operating. Rather, they create opportunities for everybody and also open new lines of businesses. The same, it is the same with AI. Now, I'll also tell you that if for any reason we don't adapt, there's that risk of being left behind, and which is what most people are afraid of. And that's why I said it depends. Whether you lose your job or not actually depends on if you adapt quickly enough to artificial intelligence and every other new technology. And those that have been able to adapt have gone on to have successful career, improved career, much more than they would have had if they had stuck to the old technology. And that's why today, if you run an hotel, you run an Airbnb system, for example, then you need technology like Tina, which Gravitas AI is providing. So I'll quickly take you through my slides. First is AI. AI is technology that actually enables computer and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem-solving skills, decision-making, creativity, and autonomy. Now, the autonomy is the most important part. Computers in the past have been able to do these things, but they have been able to do it under human supervision and operation. But what AI is bringing to the table is that autonomy, ability to think freely, ability to operate without human interference. That is the advantage of AI. And this is something we can leverage in our day-to-day business, especially in the hospitality sector. Now, branches of AI, because when we say AI, some of us are familiar with one part of AI or the other, but AI is essentially divided into 7 branches. And most of us are familiar with some of these branches, but probably not all the branches. Now, the first part of AI that I find very interesting is actually machine learning. That part is actually very interesting, and also is one of the top parts of AI. It's also one of the most useful parts of AI. Machine learning is simply computer simulating the human thinking based on data inputted, which is usually referred to as model. You've heard people say, oh, let's train our model. We're training our model. We're training this AI on a particular model. That process is called machine learning. It's the process through which the computer actually learns. It means that you actually give the computer a lot of data in a specific field. After going through the data, the computer actually has a proficient knowledge of that field and can actually answer questions on that field or provide information on that field independently. Now, this is revolutionary because in the science, for example, I tell some people say, oh, AI is just advanced Google. In a way, yes. But the difference is AI can actually provide you with an answer to a question that sometimes does not exist based on its own learning. Now, most times they are not usually 100% accurate, and that's why you have something we call accuracy level of every model. You see people say something like, oh, our model is 80% efficient, or our model is 90% accurate. Those accuracy of those model, especially when they function independently. And these models can also be improved time to time by providing it with more data. And sometimes this model also learn based on interaction or conversations with human beings and information from other sources. So example of machine learning, for example, is usually used in something we call a weather forecast, for example. What happens in weather forecast is that the machine is actually fed with informations from weather stations across the world over a period of time, sometimes as much as 50 years. With those information, for example, the system is able to predict what the weather will be in Italy, for example, next week, next month, next year. And as the day goes by, the system actually acquires more data and also improves the answer. That's why sometimes you see that there could be a prediction that says it will rain for 3 hours on a particular day. Then as it gets closer to that day, you find out that it could be reduced to 2 hours or increased to 4 hours. And that's because the system is getting more data and improving its answers. One other use of machine learning is also in things like sales prediction. For example, that is also important in businesses like the hospitality industry, for example. You can actually predict your sales. That's one thing machine learning can do for you. By predicting that sales, for example, it can also predict areas, where you are also losing money based on the data fed into the system. And like I said again, this is one of the advantage of products like Tina. Once you feed your systems into the product, for example, it goes through your past sales, all the other entries, and it's able to predict which areas you need to improve on, for example, in terms of revenue, in terms of customer acquisition and other factors, and which area, for example, what you also need to keep doing. So all these are things that is possible through machine learning. Another arm of artificial intelligence is also natural language processing. Most of us are ahead of ChatGPT, for example. Now, one of the things the computers couldn't do in the past is that computer actually does not understand human languages, which means to talk to the computer, for example, you need to talk to computers in binary language. Now, every other form of programming language essentially becomes binary language at the end. That's the language the computer understands. That's ones and zeros. So it means that to interact with the computer, for example, or to get an answer to a question from the computer, you need to essentially be a programmer. But with improvements with AI, for example, especially in the area of natural language processing, for example, AI right now is able to understand human languages. Whether you are speaking to it in English, French, Italian, or any other languages. And that alone is groundbreaking. Of course, there are a lot of improvements still going on in that particular section, but right now it's groundbreaking. And that's one of the reasons why we can all interact with ChatGPT, for example. A lot of us in the industry, for example, when we need to solve a problem or when we need to do a presentation, for example, ChatGPT is our go-to tool. And ChatGPT itself actually operates on natural language processing. And behind the scene, you also have machine learning. But that interaction is actually on natural language processing, that ability to understand the languages. Now, another area also is robotics. We've had robotics for a very long time, especially in the manufacturing industries, for example, in space selection, for example. But things are now different. And why it's different is the word I mentioned earlier, autonomy. These robots now are able to operate without human intervention, which means you can essentially have a factory that can operate autonomously by itself for a whole year without human intervention. Just make sure the raw materials are available. It takes care of everything else, from inputs of the raw material to production, even to delivery. That's why nowadays you have self-driving taxis, you have delivery robots, you have robots that work in warehouses. So put all those things together, you see that this robotics is so advanced now that from input of the raw material to delivery to our doorsteps, for example, the system can handle everything from end to end. Then, if you look at robotics also, you find out that robotics, for example, is also linked to what? Natural language processing and machine learning. So all these things work together. It's a lot of things coming together to actually provide you with a solution. Robots nowadays can actually see, which means they can look at an object, recognize what object it is, recognize the shape of the object, the distance of the object, can tell you whether the object is heavy or not, if it's something they can lift or not. All those are things that computers can do. You also see that in also what you call plate number recognition. Nowadays, for example, if you pass through if you beat a traffic light, for example, the system can actually recognize your vehicle by the plate number and actually send you a ticket even before you get home. There's no human interaction there. It's end to end. That's computer vision. Deep learning is a little bit similar to machine learning, but a little bit different. There are differences between them, so I won't go into that now. Another aspect which I won't go into much is what's called the fuzzy logic and expert systems. These are all tools that Gravitas AI actually, puts together to provide you with their product. Okay, so this tells us more about tells us a lot more about machine learning, which we've gone into, But examples of application of machine learning is in forecasting weather, just like I've mentioned, stock prediction. You say stock forecast. You have forex prediction, forex trading, and all that. Also in sports, Arsenal is playing with Manchester United, for example. Which team is most likely to win? We all do our predictions. But now, as human being, for example, we can probably consider a few games and say, okay, fine, Arsenal is most likely to win. But the thing with machine learning is it can actually go back as far as 30 years. Consider all games between those two teams. Go to the internet, for example, pick up news about injuries to some key players. And a lot of things, a lot of variables that is humanly impossible for us to consider. And with that, it can tell you to a certain accuracy, to a degree of accuracy, that Arsenal will win that match. As human beings, we can't do that. And all this will be done within a few seconds. And you can do it for multiple games at the same time. So the same way also a lot of things can be done through machine learning. For example, if you are looking at the United States election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, for example, who is most likely to win, we'll probably consider some few variables. But machine learning can go far back and consider a lot of things that is humanly impossible to tell you that the likely winner of this election will be a particular candidate. And you see some companies, they do that as that's what they do. That's their job. Predict which candidate would win. And if a candidate would lose, why would that candidate lose? And if that candidate would lose, what can we do to make sure that this particular candidate wins this election? All those things are things that can be done through machine learning. So natural language processing, we've also spoken about that. An example of a real life application of natural language processing is in chatbots, for example. And that's one of the things Tina is proficient in. I'll give you an example. If you look at the hotel playbook, traditional hotel playbook, have a building with 40 to 1,000 rooms, for example. You have a concierge, a receptionist, housekeeper, a chef in the kitchen, a restaurant and bar, and that's all it is. But businesses like Airbnb will not survive today if not for things like machine learning, if not for technologies like AI. Because due to that, people are able to actually, instead of owning 100 rooms in a location, they're able to own 100 one room in 100 locations. Now, when you have one room in 100 locations, for example, how do you organize your housekeeping? How do you organize your concierge? Now, all these things are things that are impossible. And because of that, those businesses did not exist in the past. But for people like Airbnb and Co to disrupt that space, for example, they need the help of technologies like AI. I've had the opportunity of staying in an hotel in Toronto, for example, where I stayed for like 7 days, and actually there was no staff in that particular hotel. Immediately I booked the hotel, 7 days to checking into the hotel. I got a key code, which I used to access the hotel with a map that takes me to the hotel. Got to the hotel, opened the door. The hotel is already set. went in, I had problem turning on the heater, for example. All I had to do is to just type on it, ask the chatbot, how do you turn on this heater? And I got an explanation with description. And when I was having problem with it, I told I was having problem. Then I got a video. So I played the video, did exactly what's on the video, paused the video till I got it right. And I was able to turn on the heater. When I need the room clean, I go to the same chatbot, for example, and say, oh, I need the room clean. And I get conversations like, oh, what time would you like the room clean? Oh, between 1 and 2 p.m. Okay, 1 and 2 p.m. is not available. Can we do between 1:30 to 2:30 p.m.? And I say yes, Then I go out. By the time I come back, the room is cleaned. Now, one of the things that helps them to do is that instead of having one housekeeper per property, which is impossible because the old rooms are in different locations. So what happened is they have centralized housekeeping that are being organized by AI to actually go to specific places at specific time based on appointment to clean up those places, which is very, very efficient. Now, it's not just also sending them to those places. What it's also doing is also making the travel efficient. There are ways you could go to 10 places in a day and you spend $300. There's also a way you can go to those same places and you won't spend more than $70. It's just planning the journey. Now, those are things that humanly you will not think, but AI does all those things for you and make your operations very efficient. Checking out is exactly the same thing. You're checking out, for example, I'm checking out on a particular day. Oh, I got a reminder that I was supposed to check out on a particular day. Do I want to extend? If I want to extend, I'll say yes. And guess what? I'll get booked for another day or 2 days. All this without seeing someone to talk to. And it was quite efficient. But that's the only way that kind of business will have thrived. So one other thing AI also helps with is spam detection, sentiment analysis. Ash actually mentioned something about sentiment analysis the last time. Now, the age we live now is if you have a product or services you are selling and people want to buy that service, one of the first things they check is your review. Google has a very good review for a lot of products. If it's a product on Amazon, there's also a review on Amazon. So you read a couple of reviews and you make your decision whether you want to buy this product or not. And I've actually seen a lot of companies actually see sales decline because of the review they have online. Now, this review sometimes goes to tens of thousands of reviews. You can't possibly go through all of them. But you have AI tools, for example, that can actually go through this review and tell you what people think about your business generally. This is not about good review or bad review. That is sentiment analysis. What is the sentiment of the consumer towards your product? That is one thing AI does very well. I don't think I know anyone that will go through tens of thousands of review and at the end of the review still remember what he read. It's not possible. So the AI is not just grading it by good or bad, 5-star or 2-star, but it's also looking for sentiment because it understands natural language. It can actually detect anger. It can detect whether a customer is happy with a product or not. It can detect skepticism. Is this customer skeptic about this product? If yes, then what I need to do is to send this customer an email or a message that assures the customer that the product is reliable, would last long, or the best in the market. Now, those are things AI will do that human beings will not do. And these are advantages some businesses are actually taking, especially in the hospitality industry, to improve their revenue. So we are back at robotics again. There are a lot of things. Robotics is not just about robots. Because most times when we hear of robotics, for example, we think of an humanoid object, for example. That's not the only robotics. Robotics is actually, it's actually any machine that is programmed that can automatically carry out a complex series of actions. Anything that can be programmed to carry out a complex series of action is actually a robot. But the good thing about robotics and AI now is that what AI is doing to robotics is that it's making robots autonomous. Which means instead of you having to give it instructions all the time, with basic instructions, for example, and guidance, it can actually operate autonomously. And that's why today you hear of robot chef, robot waiters, and a lot of other things that robot does. Robot dishwasher. So that's different from the machine dishwasher. So there are lots of that you can see. So right now we have the technology needed, to actually operate a restaurant end to end using robots only. That's in the hospitality industry. That is possible right now. And some are already using it in one way or the other, even if not for the front end, because definitely you want the human touch. Some hotels are already using robots for their back end. And some use them in their warehouse, like their store, and in other places where the robots are actually needed. Common example of application of robotics in everyday life is in manufacturing industry, healthcare, and what? The retail industry. So these are areas where robotics is being heavily used right now, and that also includes the hospitality industry. So now we're going mainly into how AI, or how hotels or your competitors are using AI to actually improve their revenue and also streamline their operations. And because of that, I titled this the AI-driven revenue revolution. And why I said that is, while we do our best to improve our revenue, we also need to take advantage of technology to do that, especially technology that can actually operate when we're asleep. I'll give an example. If you look at the world, there are about 24 time zones in the world. At that point, at minimum of 6 hours of that time, you're actually sleeping. And anytime you are in the day, there's someone somewhere in the world that is sleeping. And at some point, that person will be awake. How do you market to that kind of person? And one of the things you can do is to use technology like AI. Most people that book hotels sometimes are from outside the country, where you are at two different time zones. AI is one of those tools that can actually help you market to those people. AI is also one of those that can automatically recognize the time zones that every of your customer or guest is in, and send them a targeted message or ad at the right time, at the best time of the day. That is another thing that is humanly impossible. So let's look at ways that people have been using AI. One of it is a dynamic pricing strategy. Dynamic pricing strategy is when you actually price your product based on different occurrences or different scenario. The other one is personalized marketing and upselling. The other one is predictive analysis for inventory, improved energy efficiency. While energy efficiency does not bring in more money, one of the things it does is that it lowers your bottom line and thereby increases your profit. So we're not just talking about making money, we're also talking about saving money. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is the profit. And to optimize your profit, you need to increase revenue and also reduce expenses, which is what this does for you. The other thing is streamline staff and labor is one of those things I mentioned earlier, and the automated customer service. The automated customer service is very important. It's one of those areas where Tina also excel. A lot of us here, we're all hospitality experts, managers in the hotel and different industry. One of the things we don't do most times is when the customer checks out of the hotel, for us, sometimes that's the end. It's not that we don't know that we should keep touch with that customer, but we just don't do it. Either because we are busy or we don't have the technology to do that. But that's something AI or Tina can do for you easily. Keep in touch with your customer. Send them a message after they leave the hotel. Ask them if they enjoyed their stay, if they have any complaint. Even send them a survey, where they can rate different aspects, not just rate the hotel. They can rate the accommodation, they can rate the property, they can rate the staff, they can rate the food. So they can rate different things that you can collect at the end of the day and actually see how well your hotel is, or see what the customer really thinks about your hotel. So dynamic pricing strategy, this is an AI-powered system that analyzes vast amount of data in real time, including competitors' rates, local events, historical booking pattern, and even weather forecast by adjusting room rates automatically based on demand and other factors. Hotels can maximize their revenue per available room with unprecedented precision. This is very simple. you actually have an hotel in a specific neighborhood, for example, and all the hotels in that particular neighborhood have their rooms priced at, let's say, $100, for example. That there are competitors most time, and sometimes you don't know their rate. But AI can actually gather all these rates for you and say, currently, the average hotel in your area, for example, is priced at $100. If you want to get ahead of them, for example, perhaps you should price your hotel between, let's say, $80 to $95, for example. Everybody likes to save money. If you do that for that particular period, for example, you've lowered your rate, but you can easily increase your occupancy by getting more rooms, thereby bringing in more revenue into your hotel at the same time. Now, naturally, this is something that as human beings is a bit difficult to do, because it simply means that you have to go to each hotel's website or go to several booking engines operated by that hotel to get all those data. But a technology like Tina, for example, can get all those things for you and actually make those recommendations for you. And based on that, you can just take that decision and you are able to actually maximize your profits. And that way, the technology also works that there are some times whereby you have a lot of occupancy. The same can actually tell you that within a particular week, in the coming month, for example, you already have close to 60% occupancy. And there's a likelihood that you get another 30% occupancy. So if that 60% has been booked at a rack rate, what you do to maximize your profit is to actually increase the rate for the next 30%. That way, you're able to get more money. But it's easy for you to increase your rate when you already have a guaranteed 60% occupancy. So, humanly, also, that's something that we don't think of all the time, or that due to fatigue or forgetfulness, we will not do, or being busy. But that's something that if you have programmed in your AI can actually do that for you and actually tell you this is the recommended price. All you have to click is something like I agree, or just input the price and you enjoy that benefit. So we look at AI and say, oh, is this technology very expensive? Now, one thing I would say is they are not very expensive and that they're definitely worth the cost. So we look at another way it helps is personalized marketing and upselling. Now, remember what I said the last time, that when a guest leaves the hotel, the AI can actually keep in touch with the guests. And all this can be, through that process, it gets a lot of personal information about that particular customer, what the customer's needs are, what the customer's wants are. And with those information, for example, you can always upsell the customer. For example, imagine an AI that remembers the room a customer last stayed in and can actually automatically recommend another room to the customer. That's one way they do it. Then number two, the AI can also check immediately how much the customer spent the last time and actually tell you that this is a high spending customer. That way, you can easily upsell that particular customer. AI can also sometimes tell you to actually give free complimentary rooms, especially free complimentary upgrades to some certain customer. Most times in a hotel, it doesn't cost you anything. The rooms can be vacant and nobody stays in the room. But at the same time, you can actually give that customer a taste of that particular room. If you do that, most times, the next time the customer is at your hotel, he would not want a lower room. He will either want that room or a better room. Now, while checking in a guest, these are not all the things we remember to look at, but these are things that the AI can actually prompt you about. And I've seen this in action several times. I go to an hotel, for example, I want to check in, I booked a particular room, then I see the receptionist quickly reading something and ask me some questions. For example, oh, you were here last May during the summer, and I say yes. Oh, you stayed in our standard room. I say yes. You booked our standard room again. I say yes. I'm like, okay, fine. We're upgrading you to our executive room. Don't worry, you don't need to pay anything. It's complimentary. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm happy. Now I stay in that room, and the next time I'm going to that hotel, I either ask for that same room or a better room. These are things that AI can do for you. AI can tell you the kind of wine the guest likes and a lot of things about the guest that actually endears your hotel to the guest and makes the guest wants to come to your hotel at every time. So, predictive analytics for inventory. Inventory in the hospitality industry usually refers to a lot of things, but one of the things it refers to is the rooms that are available. You usually have business development managers in the hospitality industry trying to divide their inventory, which is their rooms, across different channels. Um, they have what you call their regular guests, they have walking guests, corporate guests, they also have online guests. Those are guests that books online. So they're trying to spread their inventory across those channels, and at some point you find out they try to balance how many rooms should we make available online, how many rooms should we reserve for walking guests, and how many rooms for our regular guests. This is something the AI can help you with seamlessly based on past data and also current data. Combining those things together, the AI can actually forecast, the expected sales from each one of those channels. And with that, you are able to, optimize your inventory. There's a saying in the hospitality industry that the most perishable goods in the world is a hotel room. Once the night is gone, you can't recover any value from it. If you sell tomatoes, for example, and you can't sell it today, you probably can sell it tomorrow. Even if for some reason the tomato is not very fresh, you can still make ketchup out of it. But once an hotel room is not slept in, and it's the next day, there's nothing in the world you can do to recover that revenue. It's gone. And that's why tools like this can actually help you to lower those lost revenue by accurately spreading your inventory across the different channels. Yeah, efficient energy management and smart building. Now, this is one of the things that is very hot right now because of increase in costs of energy across the world, especially in Africa. Nigeria right now is experiencing as much as 5 times increase in the cost of power in the hospitality industry, whether through the mains or through use of generators, solar panel, and other alternative means. Now, one of the ways AI can help is to first, make your hotel efficient. That's number one, by making it a smart building. It means that you use things like the energy saver switch, electric. You use automated thermostat for your AC because especially in Africa where it's hot, the temperature is usually hot. One of the equipment that consumes most of the energy, apart from the machinery, is actually the air conditions in the room. In fact, the air conditions in the room consume more energy than every other equipment in the room combined. And that includes the lights. The lights nowadays are energy saving bulbs, so they don't consume a lot. The TVs are very energy efficient these days. But one equipment that still consumes a lot of power in that particular business is still the air conditions in the room and also in the public area. Now, one of the things that AI does is to automatically sense, the temperatures of each one of those areas and actually adjust the temperature accordingly. For example, if you check into a room, for example, after staying in the room for a while, the AI is able to tell the temperature that you like in such a way that next time, if you are staying in that room, that the room's temperature can automatically be adjusted to that particular temperature. So it's more or less like having your personal setting, just like you have in your car. Each time you go into your car, you have the settings. Once you start the car, the seats adjust, the air condition adjusts, the steering and other things adjust. Even sometimes the ambience also adjusts to your liking. The same thing that is happening in the automotive industry is not happening in the hospitality industry, whereby rooms are being personalized to the guest preference based on past experiences. Remember what I said about AI? AI is more proficient when they ask enough data. The more it learns about you, the more you're able to enjoy the benefits of AI. Then streamline staff and labor. I mentioned something similar to this earlier about the hotel I checked into that has no staff. one of the things they've been able to do in terms of their housekeeping, instead of having a housekeeper in each property, what they have is a centralized housekeeper, like a pool of housekeepers. And based on the AI system, for example, it schedules where the housekeeper needs to go at different points in time, and also automatically arrange their journey in such a way that it is actually very efficient and cost saving. The same thing happens. There was no receptionist. Any question I need to call the receptionist for example, I can just type in the virtual chat box, for example, and it gives me an answer to it. For example, when is your checkout time? Can I check out late? All those things are answers, that can get straight from the board without having a receptionist or anybody working in any of those properties. Without that kind of technology, for example, this kind of industries will simply not exist because it will be too expensive and the cost will be prohibitive when it comes to running this kind of business. But what has happened is that AI has been able to disrupt that particular industry, thereby making it possible to be able to, run this kind of businesses. One example of that kind of business also is Uber. Uber is probably a business that most people will not think of years back. But there's a lot of artificial intelligence that goes into Uber, apart from drivers showing up and picking you up. For the business to be profitable, it is heavily reliant on AI to predict and to route orders or requests to each one of those drivers at the appropriate time based on their current location and their past history. So the same thing also happens in the hospitality industry, whereby people are employing AI to be able to streamline their business. And that's why today, all across the world, there are business consortiums that owns, some of them have thousands of properties listed on Airbnb, and they are able to manage it at different locations across the world. Normally, that will not be possible. Automated customer service is also similar to one of the things I've said earlier. Almost everything that can be done by the human customer service can actually be done by AI right now. And it is very simple. And most times, they're usually more efficient. As a human being, for example, there's a limit to what you know, especially based on your experience and how many years you've worked at that particular company. But AI can actually tap into unlimited data and actually provide you with answers to your questions. Your bookings can be done, airport transfer can be done, airport pickup can be done, your laundry, for example, you can request for room cleanup, you can request for laundry pickup. Lots of things that you would do normally can actually be done via the help of AI. And one thing you've also noticed in all I've said so far, there's always a human element. But what AI is simply doing is enabling the human beings in that particular system to be more efficient. And that is the job of AI. So in conclusion, basically, the financial impact of AI on the hotel industry is nothing short of transformative. From boosting revenue through dynamic pricing and personalizing marketing to slashing costs with intelligent automation, AI is reshaping every aspect of the hotel operations. As we look to the future, it is clear that AI will continue to be a critical factor in the financial success of hotels. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be taking your questions after now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. That was very apt, very precise, very, very informative. When you add the two sessions, I mean, I was just putting together a small write-up and sending it to our platforms. It's going to be at your own peril for you to ignore AI in today's business world. You just talked about Uber, and it occurred to me that back in those days, there used to be a taxi service in Nigeria, yellow taxis. We call them yellow taxis. You get on the road and then you wave them down, they stop and they pick you up. Yellow taxis are literally right now out. You can't even see them. Hardly can you see them on the roads anymore. They're in extinction with the advent of ride-hailing services, Uber, Bolt, Sixt, and all of those services. I mean, driven by technology. And the same thing goes for our businesses. If we don't comply with this new innovation, after some time we just see that our business will just become extinct. So we would like to admonish you that next time we call upon you, which will start at this time, we've identified a date in November, uh, November 16 to be precise. If that is correct, please, Ash, please, can you please confirm that so that we start reaching out immediately. It's our mission to see that the hospitality industry in Nigeria and Africa adopt global practices, and so that we can compete favorably with other continents. Most of the businesses are driven towards, of course, towards Europe, North America, and Asia, the Middle East, India, Singapore, and all those other places. And if you look at the percentage of tourist arrivals that come to Africa, it's way minute. It's just a little. We just get a little share of the market. It's not even as little as less than 5% of the global tourism market comes to Africa. So we need to get our acts together and begin to ensure that we improve on our standards and adopt all this innovation so that we can compete favorably. Thank you so much. Please, you can send us your questions in the next 5 minutes. We can get your questions on in your chat room, the chat box.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Oluloye, the president of the Association of Tourism and Hospitality Consultants in Nigeria, just popped up a question. Over to you, Ash.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting question, and understanding the utilization of this technology, which is actually really cutting edge, can be scaled up to any extent, and can be trained to mimic the human intelligence. That's most important, because ultimately, if we are training it well, it will be able to provide the right kind of assistance. So they can be different type of use cases wherein AI assisted technologies, chatbots can provide assistance, and for us, Tina can provide assistance. So there can be 24/7 customer support. So chatbots can provide instant responses to guest inquiries about bookings, amenities, policies, ensuring assistant which is always available. Then booking and reservations can be done. So guests can schedule through chatbots, make or modify or cancel reservations directly through the messaging platforms. So through the chatbot itself, and get the notification reminders, do the payments through the chatbots, and similarly get notification reminders, confirmation regarding that. And during the check-in and checkout process, also they can utilize these chatbots to let the hotel or the entity know way before when they are arriving, so that the things can be prepared. So this has also an implication on the supply chain, because if you know someone is arriving a bit late, less late, etc., there's a lot of variables uh, uh, when we consider the check-in and check-out operations of hotels, and it's very difficult to manage that whole thing, because people travel, people get late, people get delayed with a lot of other variables. So that is also an area which can be looked upon. Personalization, as Mr. Timothy also mentioned about this, personalized recommendations based on certain things or certain behaviors of the user. We can start building up profiles and do some personalization, so that chatbot can also not only look at their interests, but also suggest some example local attractions, dining options, etc. Things which are not exactly the hotel, but also things which drive the traffic to the hotel. So those kind of personalized recommendations, etc., can be suggested also. Then, as we also discussed, and like Mr. Timothy was mentioning about the room service and maintenance requests, so that is a big area where a lot of optimization can be done through efficient service management by chatbots, which are efficient, accurate, consistent, specific, and multilingual. Because you get to see guests which are from different places, different backgrounds, different, they speak different languages, so having a conversation back in their own language is something which is very essential for effective communication. That solves a lot of problems. So when a machine is there to help you communicate, why not utilize it? Then feedback collection. So typically feedbacks are collected. There are a lot of Google reviews, rating, etc. But once someone is out of the hotel and then they're gone with something else, they just forget to like provide the feedback. So chatbots can be utilized to send them notification reminders to provide a good feedback, and there can be a user journey which can be developed to also collect some negative reviews. So, for example, if the chatbot is trying to engage a particular customer, then it can ask whether they're happy or not. If they're not, then they can ask for further feedback, and that feedback can be collected against the name of that person and lodged into the internal CRMs or the internal dashboard. So from where you know, okay, out of the 100 people, maybe two, three are not happy, and they've got these particular reasons. Why not just reach out to them and try to sort out the problems? Then there are a lot of events which happen at hospitals. So event planning assistance, booking of venues, things which are required for that particular event. So suggesting to the guest like, okay, these many things which you might require or you might want to prepare for these many things. So those kind of assistive technologies can also be added. Then loyalty program management is also something which is very important for hotels, and chatbots can assist guests in managing their loyalty programs, checking points, redeeming the rewards, etc. So it can be made more conversational. So these kind of applications exist, but it's like unidirectional. You talk to an application and just get your work done. But having a conversation in a way or like in a very user friendly tone definitely engages that particular person, and it is then the next level of engagement or the next booking, etc., can be driven through a nice experience. So that kind of customer delight which you can provide through this, that is amazing, and that should be utilized. I already talked about multilingual support a lot, and that is something which is very important. Also, you can send promotional offers. So you can utilize, as I mentioned, Tina has got capabilities of analyzing the data, segmenting the data, creating target segments, and then typical like or strategic campaigns can be set up for those kind of like segmented audience, and those can be sent across different channels, whether you want to do it on emails, whether you want to do on WhatsApps, whether you want to do through SMS. So all these through channels are open. Tina can push messages to on these platforms. And then also like it can also assist, we can go to the next level of personalization by also like understanding a bit for when we start developing, there can be development towards the customer side as well, to create the profiles and then start understanding more about them and then helping them create the travel itinerary, etc. For example, if a chatbot is suggesting things to them, that okay, you can do these many activities, these are the available slots, these are the nearby things where tickets prices are like this, all of that. So it can be a personalized experience provided by a hotel to the guest who's arriving, who actually feels that the right kind of assistance has been delivered. So I can think of these use cases, but they are more definitely. Mr. Timothy talked about a lot of the use cases apart from this as well, which are very essential in providing the right kind of user journey experience.
Thank you so much, Ash. I want to believe that your response has uh, elaborated further on the gains of using Tina. Thank you. Okay, there's another question. Can small scale hotels acquire Tina? Let's say about 20 rooms.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like scale is not a problem. So we can develop solutions for different scale size, and the requirements are different because then the operations of a large scale hotel will be different. The focus of a small scale will be different. So what we do typically as a practice when we're developing a particular project, that we have got certain best practices which we deploy. We have an understanding use case, we develop a product, that's all fine, but we also take into consideration the customer experience which that particular entity business organization needs to provide. So once we start a project, we sit together with the business entity, try to understand their pain points, and then tailor the chatbot journey according to that. So yes, definitely small scale, medium scale, big scale, large chains, small chains, hotels located in various countries, all can adopt Tina, and it has to be just a very different use case which needs to be implemented, and that should be it, which we will sort it out through our design thinking process.
Thank you again. I think, just to add to what you said, one of the challenges we have in our part of the world is the issue of cost, and regarding software and things like that, basically due to the high cost of forex. But what I've always said is that every hospitality operation has to run a what we call a cost benefit analysis. If you compute a cost benefit analysis, it will basically allow you to determine if this is going to be profitable for you, if it's going to enhance your profitability, if it's going to increase your margins, before you now begin to become fearful of the cost of what's going to cost. I'll give a good example. We know that if you want to run your advert on something like on Instagram, and you want it for free, we know you're not going to get the numbers. So you have to pay some money, but it's over a period of time. You must have a marketing budget, and definitely you'll be able to get to so many potential guests and customers out there that will definitely assist you in meeting your profit targets, your profit margins. So that's what I usually will advise hotels. Definitely, it's scalable, like you rightly said. Even a five-bedroom unit can run Tina, as long as you're into customer service, as long as you're into operations, finance, and all any of those operational aspects of the work. You definitely will need Tina at one stage or the other. Thank you.
Yeah, and just one more point to add, we've got different packages built up according to the needs and based on the considerations which we get and like the requirements which we get, so we're able to customize accordingly.
Thank you. I don't know. Uh, Timothy, you want to take that question?
Yes, I will. So, on the role that AI can play in improving the sustainability of the hospitality industry is actually a lot. AI is applicable in different aspects, even before the guest gets to the hotel. For example, when it comes to bookings, for example, you can use AI there to improve your bookings. And once your booking improve, also your occupancy rate goes up and your revenue also goes up. Another way you can use AI is when it comes to guest satisfaction. Now, when guests are satisfied with your hotel, for example, they will definitely come again. And if you look at how things are now, you have a lot of people right now that are tech savvy, unlike 10 years, 20 years ago. People that actually live and breathe technology. You know, so technology itself is a selling point to the hotel. A lot of people, when you see them, they're always on their phone. They're very reliant on their phone. Their phone is like a tool to them to get things done. So imagine if you can also put your hotel on that same tool that they use on a daily basis to get things done. It means that they are in the room, for example, they can actually order for their meal from their food. Imagine something like, hey Tina, what do you have for dinner? And you get a menu, and from the menu, you can actually pick some menu and you get served those items. Now, that's convenience, for example, that saves you money and also makes guests interactive. And guess what? When guests have that kind of experience in your hotel, when they go out there, they tell their family and friends. I was in this hotel in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, for example. Imagine I could order my food from my phone. So there are a lot of things that has to go with sustainability when it comes to that. Then also AI actually helps you keep costs down. There are a lot of repetitive tasks that we have now in the hotel industry that the AI can actually automate and make seamless at a very affordable price. So what that allows you to do is to actually deploy your staff to more essential services. For example, if you spend a lot of time trying to apologize to customers and make sure they are fine, then that's less time you have to market your hotel and make money. So if AI can make those other parts of your business run smoothly, then you actually have enough time on your hand to actually strategize on how to bring in more revenue into the hotel. So there are different ways AI can actually help you. It's just a matter of plugging into the right place. Even in terms of use of resources, for example, those are places that AI can actually key in and help you reduce on wastages, especially in the terms of inventory. If you can accurately predict the number of guests you have for each specific days, for example, the amount of meals you prepare or prep will reduce. The amount of even your cash flow will improve, because most times, for example, we go into some of those things with estimates. Okay, we're a 40-room hotel, for example. We have about 75% occupancy, which is automatically 30 guests. So it means that every day you are preparing for 30 guests. And sometimes when you have full occupancy, there's a shock. And you have staff running to the market to get a few things just to make sure you can take care of those customers. But AI can actually help you smoothen that curve a little bit such that you are not caught unawares and you have an idea beforehand how many guests you're actually expecting in that particular hotel. So it goes, that's just on the surface. It goes deeper than that. AI can also go as far as giving you hints on what meal those particular guests are most likely to take. Now, all these things are based on past data harvested from the guest stay in your particular hotel. So these are areas why AI can actually help and keep your hotel sustainable. One is it will improve your revenue. Then two, it will also reduce your cost in different areas. And also, like Ash has mentioned, it is modular. If all you can afford is the interface that they actually interface with the PMS, for example, then it's fine. If your hotel is heavy on food and beverage, for example, you can also integrate something into the food and beverage area. If you have a lot of inventory, that's something you can also do. So it all depends. It is highly customizable. It all depends on you. Of course, definitely there'll be recommendation, but it also depends on your need at that particular point in time. Thank you.
Totally agree on that, and I'd like to add just a few more points, like energy management, as was talked about in his presentation as well. So that is very important, and like AI algorithms can analyze energy consumption patterns, and on the basis of that, your heating, cooling, etc., can be managed. Then I'll not touch upon more things because I think Timothy's already covered almost everything. But yeah, maybe guest behavior analysis. So that is something which we can also try to focus on, and maybe just use the smart room technologies, do some sustainable marketing. So there's lots of opportunities. The field is open. We need to explore.
Thank you. I just quickly wanted to add that on the macro industry level, increasing competition, that's one of the things AI will do. Competition increases. And when competition increases, standards have to be established. So it's going to assist standards in establishing standards across board. Of course, the interrelationship between innovation and standards have to be well understood. If you innovate, definitely it will assist you in maintaining those standards. So this is one of the areas that it's going to help the industry across board. I want to think this is the last question. In the absence of no other question, I want to thank our facilitators. Definitely, we will be calling upon you once again. In November, we will avail everyone of at the time for November, and we will begin to make sure that we knock on doors and activate industry awareness as quickly as possible so that we can have more participants in the next webinar. Thank you so much, and do have a very good day. I know Toronto is possibly in the middle of the morning right now, or towards AM, towards early morning. And
Yeah.
of course, Aarsh and I are in London. It's quite, the weather is manageable now. It's about 17, 18 degrees. So thank you for joining us. And those that are in Africa, please have a very splendid afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.